Hello, my name's Tony Cope from SWD Bespoke. We're here at our showroom in Surrey, where I will be running through how to measure a blockwork wall and a studwork wall structural openings to take one of our pre-hung door sets. We're going to start with the blockwork wall. I'll be measuring the floor to ceiling height, which is the finished floor, the width and estimating the wall thickness. Yeah, I'm using a laser and a tape to do the measurements. The laser's very handy for doing the height because some of our doors are very high, up to maybe 3 meters. We're at early stages here in the build. It doesn't really matter because we know what the finished floor is going to be, and we'll know what our plastering is going to be. So it's fine to measure at this stage. To measure the height, simply put the laser on the floor and get the laser beam up on the lintel. The measurement we got is 2420. The finished floor is 25mm, so finished floor to lintel height is 2395. So now we measure the width of the opening. This is a double door opening. I measure in 3 different places, so top, middle and bottom. The measurement really I want to go by is the smallest measurement. So the smallest reading I got was 1638, so that is the structural width of this opening. The last stage is to determine the wall thickness. This is a 220mm block wall. There's potentially 2 types of plaster generally used with this. It's either dot and dab, which is maybe about 28mm each side, so it'll be 220 plus 56, giving us a 276 finish wall. If it's hard wall, then you can have about 10mm each side, so that will end up with about a 240 finish wall. So now we've measured all the structural opening sizes, we can now determine the size of the door leaf itself, height and width. So with a blockwork wall, ideally it needs to be lined with an 18mm subframe. Fitting your frame to the blockwork directly is very difficult, and if this is fitted first, it's just simply getting the screws from our frame into this. So generally we advise using something like 18mm WP plywood. It needs to be a good quality ply because it's going to remain there and won't be taken off. So our pre-hung door set frame is a rebated frame, and generally we do it with an extension piece, definitely on the wider walls. So the extension piece just slots into the frame. This is what we then fit to the plywood. So to determine the height of the leaf that I can have here, I need to take off the tolerance we need for the subframe going in, the thickness of our rebated frame, and gaps above and below the door. So generally from the finished floor to lintel height, I take off 60. So to determine the width of the door leaf from the structural opening, on a single door, I generally take off about 95mm. That allows for the 18mm plywood, rebated frame, and any tolerances we build in. If it's a double set, I'd allow a little bit more for the gap between the doors, so I'd take off 100mm. With a pre-hung door set, you have to know the handing of the door. The way we work it out, the door opens away from you, the hinges are on the left, it's left-handed. If it opens this way with the hinges on the right, it's right-handed. So we've gone through the blockwork wall, now we're moving over to the studwork wall. This is wood stud. The principles of measuring the height and the width, they're exactly the same as the blockwork. The only difference with the studwork wall is the wall build-up is different to what you get on a blockwork wall. It's generally either single boarded plasterboard and skim or double boarded plasterboard and skim. The wall thicknesses on a single boarded are 125 generally, and on double boarded it's about 150. A common question with studwork walls is, do I need a subframe? I believe you do. With a double boarded plasterboard, Where the screw fixing goes in behind the hinge, it will be straight into the plasterboard. So it's always best practice to get the plywood subframe in on this wall partitioning as well. If you've already built your stud openings and haven't catered for the subframe, it really just needs to be single boarded plasterboard. With bathrooms that are tiled, when you add the tile to the inside, again, that will give you a screw fixing that doesn't go into the wood. So certainly on bathrooms that are tiled, we still recommend you put in a plywood subframe. So with the stubwork opening, once you've measured the width of it, if you're going to use plywood subframes, you take off, just like the blockwork wall, 100. If you don't want to use them, just take off 60, and that gives you your door leaf widths. With studwork walls, we can just make a rebaited frame with no extension piece. The blockwork walls, we need the extension piece because the rebaited frames can only be made up to a maximum of 170mm. So to achieve anything over that, you have to use the extension piece. We always include the intermittent material if it's fire rated, and almost by default we put in these acoustic gaskets. When the door closes, you know, the acoustic performance on the door is a lot better. So just to summarise, the basic principles between studwork and blockwork are the same. The only main difference is studwork walls are generally a smaller width wall, finished wall, so you can just have the rebaited frame without the need of an extension piece. So thank you for watching the video. The main objective behind this is just to demonstrate that you don't need all your floors down and all your wall finishes and plastering done. You can get all the measurements done, get them over to us, which ultimately gets you your door sets faster. If you do have any questions, our contact details are on the screen now. Thank you for watching.